Kia ora. So welcome today. We are trying to cut through the waffle and actually understand what's going on in local politics. And today I've got Doug Owens, who's running for the Bay of Plenty Regional Council. Doug's been here before, 2 terms on the council about a decade ago, and now he's back in the ring. We're going to dig into some of the big questions: who really holds the power, what's at stake with our assets, and what it means for everyday people in Tauranga and the wider Bay. So let's get into it. Welcome, Doug.
Thank you, Erica.
So you've already done 2 terms on the regional council and then stepped away 10 years ago. What's brought you back now, and why this moment?
I think democracy is being challenged. We've had a situation with the City Council where we've had a mayor elected, sponsored by local developers. Other councillors are also aligned with these people. I don't see that as pure democracy. That concerns me. The fox is in the hen house. I think that independence is very important when it comes to council representation.
So why now? Like, what's changed in the reason, or for you personally, that's made you want to jump back in?
Well, we've been through COVID. We've had conspiracy all around the world. We've had a lot of negative things happening to our economy. We've been hollowed out over the last 30 years, and I just see no end to it. A good example is what is happening with the regional council shares in the port company. Owens and thousands of others built that facility over the last 70 years. I was down there. I've seen it all from start to today. And I'm very concerned that that shareholding should not be lost. It's another part of the hollowing out that's going on in this country where we're just not making enough money to survive. There's too much money leaving the country, and people are suffering. We know that. We all see that.
When we talk about the regional council, a lot of people don't actually know what Bay of Plenty Regional Council actually does. And I know that the government has talked about doing away with regional councils altogether. How seriously should we take that, and what would it mean for people here if that actually happened?
Well, John Key tried it in 2009, and I stood on that platform, not supporting the dissolution of regional councils because they have a regional focus or an environmental focus, and they're not involved in development. Right. In the sense that territorial authorities are there to deal with development and make sure that it happens within a set of rules. So what is happening now is, once again, I guess amalgamation means saving money. Well, I'm not so sure of that. I think that there's an opportunity to amalgamate many functions between all councils, and as a result, just make it better, tighter, easier to understand, and more flexible.
So if they did scrap regional council, who would pick up the work? Would locals lose a say, you think?
Locals would definitely lose a say. I mean, territorial authorities, councils are all about the people. Regional councils are the same, but they have a regional perspective. The two things go together, but there is duplication. There is room to share services. There is room to make change that keeps the costs of local government under control. And of course, we can see that the costs have gone way out of control. Since 2021, for instance, the Tauranga City Council rates, commercial and industrial, have increased by more than 100%.
Wow.
Those amounts have not been challenged, and they should be. The residential rates have not been published exactly, but it's got to be at least 40%. We've got a cross-subsidisation thing going on here. The City Council have been bereft by not coming forward and telling us exactly what the rate increases have been,
right,
and how much it's costing us today, and how much do they actually have to spend.
So a second ago, you were talking about the port shares. So speaking of councils and big decisions, let's look at the local picture. You have Ranguru Business Park. So they've dragged on way longer than it should have, as I understand, between financing issues, the highway not being finished, and then COVID on top. The delays have just blown out cost. From what I understand, that's part of why we're now hearing about selling down these port shares. It's kind of pitched as this new term, asset recycling, which to me just sounds like privatization dressed up. Feels a bit like a cash grab to cover the shortfall. So for people that don't know, Quayside Holdings is a Bay of Plenty Regional Council CCO that owns port shares, paid out about $45 million last year. That's money that helps keep rates down, roughly about $380 per household. So if we sell down, that steady income shrinks. Less money from the ports means either rates go up or services get cut. So with that in mind, I would like to talk to you about the port shares. Council's looking at diluting its shareholding in the port. Can you walk us through what that actually means in plain English and what the risks are?
Well, there's some great risks losing control of a port that is the biggest export port in the country. But as well as that, if we lose control, and others will find their way into the shareholding, there's no doubt about that. Mm. It's not just the Port of Tauranga, we're talking about the Port of Whangarei and Timaru.
Okay.
So there'll be 3 ports up for grabs, and I object to it strongly. Obviously, with my background with Owens on the port, we've been there from the beginning. As I say, thousands of people in the region have worked on that waterfront, and it is a great culture. It belongs to us, and so it should. I'm very surprised that the government have done nothing about this situation because these are strategic assets and they should not be sold outside of this country.
So where has this discussion actually come from?
Well, the LTP, the last LTP that the Regional Council held, included the proposal to sell down the shares. I believe that they misled the public by saying that we don't want all our eggs in one basket. We need to diversify our shareholding. We want to sell up to 28% of the shareholding. Well, I had a good look at it. I made submissions. I went to the hearings, and I found that they actually, Quayside, the CCO, had diversified the shareholding. 20% of it is now property.
Okay.
But they're not making any money. And in fact, I suspect they're losing money. But we didn't hear about that, did we?
No.
And then what happens, let's sell the shares. Let's balance our books, make it look right again. With the property market as it is today, I would be very reluctant to go anywhere near it. But since all of these discussions have been held, a local developing company has become involved with Quayside to redevelop a car parking building that the council sold to Watson Hughes for $1.
Were we able to talk about that?
Oh, I think you can talk about it. It's all public. But I don't have much detail except that I did go over the building. I saw exactly what was wrong with it. And yes, it was yet another big mistake by the City Council. I think it cost ratepayers something like $27 million.
Wow.
So, we have some inherent problems dealing with assets in this community.
Yeah.
And, it's time. I want to step up and make sure that things are done right.
So what actually changes if council own less of the port? Like who wins, who loses if that were to happen?
Well, it puts the port company in a difficult position because they don't have control.
Right.
A cornerstone shareholder like the Bay of Plenty Regional Council has been very successful. The management can carry on and do what they need to with confidence. Yeah. But once this changes, then you've got a problem.
Yeah.
You don't know who's coming for you. The shares can be picked up on the secondary market. There's all sorts of permutations that apply once control is let go.
Because I've heard that there's rumors around foreign ownership. If more of the port ends up in foreign hands, what does that mean for the Bay of Plenty? Like jobs, control, decision-making? What do we lose?
Well, I think we lose it all. The port company has a very strong interest in property assets.
Right. I've heard that.
In and around the port. For any aggressive new shareholder, the chances are they would like to capitalise on some of that.
Right.
Who would know? But anything is possible. But as far as the community is concerned, we are going to lose big time.
Because you always hear investment is good, but there's always a trade-off. So what decisions could be taken out of local hands if that were to happen?
Well, the organisations all work together and make sure that the rules work. When you've got an aggressive outsider involved, the dynamic's obviously going to change.
Right.
So, no, it's not something that I'd wish upon on the Bay of Plenty, I can tell you that now.
Do you think people in the Bay even realize how much control could shift overseas with this potential sale?
I don't think the community understands what the Regional Council and Quayside are trying to do with unloading the shareholding. I don't think they're aware of it really at all. The LTP process is smoke and mirrors. They tick boxes and put things in place, and most of it people are unaware of.
So correct me if I'm wrong. So Quayside Holdings is the investment arm of the Bay of Plenty Regional Council, which is essentially a CCO. And they're selling off these port shares for diversification, which is just a fancy way of saying they're going to, sell it off into property or property speculation or property development.
Oh, my personal view is that the management have lost control. They just want to pay off debt.
Yeah.
The debt situation is quite complex because during the time I was on the regional, there was a public fund set up which has an equity position with the IRD, which is still able to be utilised positively to the tune of something like 200 million.
Whoa.
And that money was given away to the community, to various projects, including the Marine precinct, I might add.
So when we hear these terms like diversification, do you think that's just council speak for putting our eggs in a property basket?
Well, I think it's Quayside speak for exactly that. And look, the property market's hurting right now. I've never seen it so bad. Auckland, of course, is suffering as much as any region. What happens when you make the wrong decision at the wrong time?
Right.
You're never going to recover.
That's right.
And this property, we should just be very careful about what we do. Obviously, Quayside have had an experience. They want to balance the books.
Yeah.
That's how it looks to me.
That's how it looks to me too. Just a quick cash grab. You were outspoken during the Tauranga City Council elections about the Urban Task Force, also known as the UTF, backing and promoting candidates, including your nephew, now Mayor Mahe Drysdale, who you once called a, quote, Patsy Pawn. Do you think the same kind of backroom influence is happening in the regional and Western Bay elections this year?
Well, I think it's happened within Quayside. I'm not too sure who's affiliated with the UTF with either council, but yes, I've heard murmurs that there are people who are being supported.
Oh, okay. So how would everyday voters even spot when a group like the UTF is backing a candidate? Like, what are the signs, you think?
Look, it's a very difficult thing to
if it was it wouldn't be happening, right?
Well, you've got to do the background checks, but look, developers, we need developers. Yeah. We need development.
I agree.
And the idea is that territorial authorities, through a democratic process, and it's the process that we're losing sight of.
That's
at
right.
the moment, need to make sure that the council representatives do the right thing.
That's right.
Now, from what I can see, the City Council, the affiliates of the UTF have got control of our council.
Yeah, feels like that.
It feels like that. And you can't really see a democratic process being driven by management. It's starting to appear very much like an autocracy.
Yeah, it is. I actually had evidence of election interference in my privacy documents. I have tried to get them into the media, but it seems every time someone wants to talk about it, they get smashed with lawyers and legal fees, and no one wants to touch it, which to me is a sign that something isn't right, you know?
It's definitely not right. The council has been involved in a number of court proceedings, as you know. There's standard practices to apply for strikeouts and stall the people that are pursuing justice. Eventually, they wear them out at the ratepayer's expense.
That's right. Because when you have all the money, you can keep going where everyone else has to give up. You're almost forced to give up, right?
That's right.
It's completely unfair. So, let's talk about family politics. You were pretty critical of your nephew, as we talked about, and his backers before he became mayor. And now looking at where the council has gone since then, especially around asset sales and debt, are you surprised, or is this exactly what you feared and why you spoke up?
That's exactly right. I had a good conversation with Mahi before the election, and I said to him that what Tauranga needs is an independent mayor.
Right.
And by signing on with the UTF, which is all public, we've seen where the expenses have come from.
Right.
That's all recorded. It's pretty clear what happened.
Yeah.
And yes, they've achieved their objective, in my opinion.
A lot of times when I watch these council live streams, it feels like the information that they're getting isn't always accurate. So they're making decisions based on maybe half-truths or things that aren't really there. So do you blame Mahe or even some of these other elected members who may be part of the UTF? Do you blame them for making decisions? Do you think they actually know that what they're involved in?
I think initially they did not. I think that they do now.
Yeah.
And to be questioned and held accountable is something that democracy demands.
Right.
And here we are having a chat.
That's right. So looking back then on this whole situation, do you feel vindicated by what's happened at council or disappointed?
Oh, look, I'm always trying to stay positive about these situations. It's politics after all.
Right.
And I think that Mahe can make a very good mayor.
Yeah.
He has balance, but he had no experience.
Yeah.
It's a very hard thing to suddenly do.
That's right.
When you've had no background in it.
Yeah, that's right.
Hence, I'm very comfortable in the political environment. I started on the Auckland Harbour Board in 1986 to 89. Then I got married and that interrupted things.
You were pretty critical of your nephew and his backers before he became mayor. Looking at where the council has gone now and has gone since, especially around asset sales and debt, are you surprised, or is this exactly what you feared?
Yes, it has come to pass. But Mahe could be a great mayor. He has youth and he has energy, and he has he knows numbers. He knows all about liquidations and receiverships. I think that's most appropriate, considering, in my opinion, our council's bankrupt.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. I mean, the debt that they're incurring, and now they're talking about this new water deal.
Right.
I heard it on the radio this morning. $6 billion.
Right.
Over the next 30 years.
What the heck?
Mahe predicted that the rates would increase by 100%.
Oh my God.
Well, how would he know that?
Yeah.
And where is the plan?
Right.
But, that's just a mechanism, what they have done. Right. That's just a mechanism to raise money, in my opinion.
And more debt.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
Do you think people underestimate how much pressure is on these candidates from backroom groups?
Well, I've never encountered anything in my own 5 tilts at power.
Yeah.
but it hasn't really bothered me. But I'm driven by my own ideas and trying to make sense of what management is trying to do. If there's no vision and there's nobody driving a vision, then anything goes by the sounds of that.
Yeah.
And hence we're in this position where how many court cases the council involved in at the moment, including the one I'm involved in? 4 or 5.
Really?
There's stuff that's happening in management that makes me think that
There's a lot of pressure.
And management is corrupt.
Yeah. I would say it feels just like that too when I see, and even the media. I've been shocked at the lame media coverage of this whole entire Waters Done Well CCO between Western Bay, Tauranga City Council, and Thames Coromandel. There was a video that we put up the other week with Christine Jones outwardly being what I've been termed economical with the truth, and it all came out in my hate. Instead of addressing the inaccuracies in what Christine Jones said, he just pushed it by and moved on to the next thing, when that was a great opportunity to dive in and try to understand why is the information that they're getting to the council is wrong around something so big as the Waters Done Well. So we'll move on to this buzzword, asset recycling. Everyone's throwing around asset recycling as if it's a magic fix and insisting it's not privatization. Do you buy that, or is it just old privatization in a shiny new jacket?
Oh, look, we're encountering privatisation by stealth, I call it. The Marina Society issue is exactly that. When you recycle money,
right,
it's got to stick to somebody.
Yeah.
I'm not sure of the ins and outs of all that, but what I do know is that Mahe talked about rates going up by 100%.
Wow.
Was that in 30 years, or was that in the next 5 or 10 years? I mean, as I say, the industrial and commercial rates linked to differentials in Tauranga have increased by over 100% since 2021.
Wow. And it's really hitting the small businesses too, and those middle income, the lower income families, and our seniors.
Absolutely. And, I can't imagine why anybody would be talking numbers at this stage when they don't have a plan.
Yeah.
Somebody's got an estimate in mind, and the government has to approve all this stuff, and I think that's why they were pushing it through as quickly as they could last week, because the government expected to do this.
Right.
But look, it doesn't matter what we're talking about.
Right.
You've got to have due diligence, and you've got to have a management that's not telling lies to the council.
That's right.
Or misinforming them.
It's almost like if it looks like privatization, smells like privatization, it's just privatization with a new name.
I agree.
Unitary authority. You spoke about that. Do you want to get into that a bit?
Well, the unitary authority idea is a composite of the environment, regional councils, and territorial councils. There have only been 2 or 3 in this country.
Right.
Auckland is the biggest, obviously. But the question in my mind, and I haven't been able to find anybody to answer this question, but Wayne Brown probably can, is, Wayne, what have you done with the environmental side of your business?
Right.
Because that used to be controlled by the regional council. Now it's within the council. So the poacher becomes gamekeeper. The
Right.
fox is in the hen house.
Right.
Wayne, how are you dealing with it?
Yeah, that is a good question. Because Auckland seems to be a good example of what's actually trying to happen here has already happened in Auckland, right?
That's correct. But Auckland is a different beast. It was a bunch of villages joined up over a long period of time, and they still have the issue of they've got a rural differentiation and also city,
Right.
Which is very similar to Western Bays and Tauranga City.
Right.
And Western Bays would be loath to be paying the rates that Tauranga City are paying right now.
Yeah.
So what's the incentive for them?
Right.
It's not there. But equally, I can tell you, when we were looking at this back in 2010, shared services was all the rage, because at that stage there was a shared IT bureau.
Right.
Whether that's still around, I'm not sure, but that's by the by. The shared services idea, I think, still has legs.
Right.
Where we amalgamate functions
Right.
and we share one computer system.
That would make sense.
And what happened when we suggested that, and I was pushing pretty hard, the CEO of City Council went out and procured a computer software system that would not talk to the regional council.
Right. Yeah.
He made sure of it.
Doesn't make any sense if you're trying to get things
So that was kick for touch, and nothing has happened since.
right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about looking ahead, the domain and the race course. Do you have concerns that the same thing could happen with places like the Tauranga domain and the race course, that we'll see the same push for sale or redevelopment?
The domain is mentioned in the latest LTP as being earmarked for some sort of private investment. Now, they're planning a $200 million stadium there. There's no money for that. I mean, will you get one All Black game a year? I don't think so.
Yeah.
So that's an indulgence, and I don't think the Prime Minister is encouraging anything like that. So that could be on hold. However, the most interesting subject is the race course.
Yeah.
I've been on the board until recently, and attempting to prevent the council from having its way. The council is the administrator of that racecourse. The racecourse is a Crown asset.
Right.
And the next in line, should there be a change of use, is Tamurawaho Iwi, who have put a claim under it already.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay.
In anticipation that the developers are going to have another go.
So if you had to call it now, do you think we'll see those spaces sold or redeveloped?
Well, the racecourse is difficult. It's Crown land.
Right.
And there's a lease. So for now, it's safe, you might say, but we're going nowhere.
Right.
And we need to expand the operation. It's an entertainment venue. It's a green space venue. It's Tauranga Central Park.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and it's an asset that we should hold on to.
What about the Speedway?
Well, the Speedway is the ultimate, that's the Coliseum, isn't it?
Yeah.
But with cars racing around it, they'll have their day. I know that they've extended the lease. I'm not too sure for how long. But
it looks like they're not going to do any structural maintenance. There seems to be a question around that maintaining of the structure of the Speedway, which kind of seems to remind me of what happened in Auckland with the Auckland Speedway, that when they get the lease back, it's like, oh, it's going to be too much to fix now. So,
well, yeah, there's an element of that, I suppose. But really, you know, that's the new centre of Tauranga. That's where all the car parking is. That's where the two big centres for exercise, you might say.
right.
That's where we should put our next stadium.
Yeah.
And the car guys, they need to start thinking about the community and not themselves, and realise that, as I recall, Bob the Builder sold that facility to the council for $12 million.
Right.
Well, why would you spend $200 million on a new one?
Yeah, true.
Doesn't make sense, does it?
No, not really.
No, it's not going to get the ratepayers aren't getting a return from that, are they?
Yeah.
No.
Doesn't sound like it.
No.
So is there anything else that you think we should touch on?
Well, you know, the most disappointing thing about our democracy right now is that people aren't voting.
Right.
And I really appeal to everybody out there. You know, I'm offering myself, but there are 18 other people offering themselves for Tauranga. And I think that's fantastic to see the interest. But will the voters
come out
and respond?
Especially because you've got Tauranga City Council not running, so it's a bit, you know, like we were talking before, you don't see many hoardings going up. It just kind of feels like it's a non-election election, you know?
Yes, that's exactly right. So, look, voters surprise us and get out there and take part.
Do your research.
Do your research, you know, for what it is. We must strengthen our democracy. It's becoming undermined.
That's right.
By the people that councils are supposed to protect us from.
That's right. Yeah.
And that to me is appalling. But the environment, it is, in the natural world, we must protect it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we have no future.
And do you believe there needs to be a regional council, that we should not do away with it?
I think the regional council functions should be embraced for eternity. How we structure the final makeup to satisfy the needs of our communities and their own interests,
right,
and they're all different.
Yeah.
You know, Whakatane, Rotorua, Pōtiki, Tauranga, we're all different.
That's right.
But we're the same.
Right. I hear you.
And the environmental science, you might say, which is highly evolved through the RMA, is a major part of that.
Yeah.
And should be preserved. It's really just a matter of joining up all the systems.
Yeah.
And with my experience, IT and many other things, I'll be very keen to do that.
Yeah. Hey, Doug, thanks for breaking it down with us today. Whether people agree with you or not, these are big decisions that'll shape our region for decades, and we can't afford to sleepwalk through them. I'd love to hear what you think. Do you feel like these asset sales and port share debates are being explained clearly enough, or are we just getting spin? Flick us a message and let's keep the chats going. This has been Lobby for Good, and we'll see you next time.